Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name's Dr. Claire Killingback and I'm a senior lecturer in physiotherapy, and I have been an admissions tutor at 2 different universities for physiotherapy programs in the UK, and I just wanted to share a little bit more of my wisdom, I guess, and advice around writing your personal statement. But specifically in this video, I'm going to talk through some of the do's and don'ts for using artificial intelligence, something like ChatGPT, to be writing your personal statement. As lecturers, we're not silly. We know AI is out there, we know people are using it, I'm sure my students are using it. I use it in my own research, but I make sure I use it ethically, and because I'm an expert in my field, I can tell the difference between what is using AI as a useful tool to support my research and what is actually cheating when it comes to using it for research. Firstly, how not to use AI. So please don't use AI to write your whole personal statement or to generate big chunks of text for your personal statement, because that would be cheating. And actually, if you were found out, you'd be unlikely to be offered a place on the programme. And if you think about the fact that with physiotherapy, we're looking to recruit people that have the right values. And so things like honesty and integrity are important. So if you're using ChatGPT or some other AI form to generate your personal statement for you, it's not necessarily demonstrating the right values. And your personal statement is personal. We want to hear about you and your uniqueness and what you can bring to a program. We don't want to read some generic AI-generated personal statement. We actually really want to know about you. Also, I think when you submit your personal statement now, particularly through UCAS, you're asked to tick a box saying that your personal statement hasn't been copied or generated by something using AI. So if you tick that box, but you did use AI to generate your personal statement, and then you go on to be found out, essentially you've not been telling the truth, have you? And so they're just not great values to be starting out with to be a physiotherapist. But personally, I don't think this means you can't use AI at all. You just need to be using it ethically. And here are 3 ways that, from my perspective, and again, this is just my perspective, but I think these are ways that it is okay to be using AI. So the first way is helping you to generate ideas. So you could put into AI, what are the values needed to be a physiotherapist? It will come up with a whole list, and then you can use some of those values to help you find examples from your experience that you can demonstrate, actually, yes, I meet these values, and I'm going to use these as I talk about them in my personal statement. So that's the first way, using it for idea generation. Secondly, it can really help with structure. So you could ask AI to generate, what's a good structure for a personal statement, and then you can actually fill in the details of that structure based on your experiences and your uniqueness. So using it to structure your personal statement, I think, would probably be a helpful way to use it. The third way you could use it is to be checking the readability of your personal statement. So you could paste into AI what you have written, and then you could use some of its suggestions for rewording or paraphrasing, or being a little bit more concise with some of the things you've said. I don't think that's cheating, because you've actually written the original content and then you're just using AI as a more sophisticated way to enhance the writing and make it more concise. And this is probably how I use AI most. I will do the original writing myself, and then I'll use AI just to do some tweaks and make sure that the quality of the writing is as high as it can possibly be. So that's 3 ways that I personally think it's okay to be using AI. What I found is that everyone has very different opinions on AI. So it may be that you talk to your tutors at college, or you talk to other lecturers and they have a really different perspective. But I guess what I'm doing here is just trying to share my perspective, and I think we can't just ignore AI and not use it at all, but I do think we need to use it in a way that's ethical and isn't cheating. And I think those 3 ways I've shared are actually a reasonable way to be using AI as a tool, and because you're doing all the writing and the generating yourself, it's still actually coming from you, and AI is just there to support you. Now, interestingly, I use AI to teach research in my second year research module, and what I do is I get the students to use something like ChatGPT to generate an interview guide and survey questions for the research that they're carrying out. And then in that session together, we look at what the AI has generated. And on the surface, students are initially like, oh, wow, this is really cool, and it did it really quickly, and the questions sound really fancy. But actually, when we dig under the surface of, what's the quality of the questions, and actually, can you come up with something better? Normally what happens is by the end of the session, students will be using a mixture of AI generated and their own ideas, or actually they will have scrapped the AI and said, as a research team, we think what we come up with is actually much higher quality and far more critical in terms of what we need to be doing for our research study. So I say that because I just think it's important that you might read AI and you're like, oh, this looks really shiny and sounds fancy, but actually it's quite surface and there's not your uniqueness coming through. So if you are going to use AI, just be really wise and think critically and think about, actually, could you write something better? And so that in that way, you're just using it as a tool for your support. So in summary, I guess my message is, I'm not saying don't use AI at all, but I am saying use it ethically and use it wisely to make sure that you are still communicating your uniqueness with your personal statement. Thanks for watching.